So if you go back on my YouTube channel a couple of years ago, I took issue with Ken McElroy talking about single family homes. Ken McElroy said the single family housing market was crashing 40%. I created a video that said it's nonsense. It's not coming. Obviously, right? Collecting receipts. In fact, he was so wrong. Ken McElroy has gone back and deleted the video. It does not exist anymore. It is gone. However, Ken McElroy has come out recently and talked about commercial real estate pain. Now we are talking. I don't think Ken McElroy has looked at an affordable home in 20 years. So that's where I think he went wrong. He's an amazing individual. He helps a lot of people. He's wealthier. He's smarter, better looking, all that great stuff than me. He doesn't know single family. He does know commercial. So when Ken McElroy talks commercial, I listen. What do you got?
Yeah, so this is a good video. He's going to talk to us about some of the stress and pain that's coming in commercial. So I'll just let the video speak for itself and we'll jump right in.
So what we're experiencing right now is a debt crisis. We had a debt crisis in 2008. It was about residential. But now we have a debt crisis in 2023 and 24, which is, of course, in commercial. Very different, but it's still a debt crisis, and the banks are square in the middle. So rising interest rates had an immediate impact on residential, but has a lagging impact on commercial. That's why you need to look at these markets very differently. So with residential, banks look at credit scores, but with commercial, they look at net operating income, or NOI. What's happened with NOI is that the NOI has gone down largely and the cost of debt has gone up, which has driven the value of commercial real estate down significantly, which we're going to talk about in a second. But commercial real estate values have significantly adjusted, anywhere from 10 to 40% in my estimation. One of the main things we're going to talk about in this video is that $1.4 trillion of commercial debt is going to mature by the end of 2024.
So to finish his thought right there, $1.3 trillion in commercial debt is going to mature. That means it's going to be ready to reset because the lending is different. Mike, can you explain to us how that's actually going to play out?
Yeah, so first off, shout out Ken McElroy. This is clearly his domain, clear his sweet spot. I will also point out the fact that I believe he's 6 or 9 months late. This was stuff that was obvious to me in this channel 9 months ago. I wish Ken was here earlier, because I've been warning folks about syndications. There were people that got into syndications in the last 6 to 9 months that have lost their money already. That deal in Houston, Texas was done 12 months ago. $100 million was lit on fire. I was warning about syndications then. I wish Ken was warning then. He wasn't. But hey, he is now. So, good for him. What is happening in the commercial market? It's always the debt structure. And I'm glad Ken is talking about the difference between resi and commercial. Resi, 98% of loans, 30-year fixed, all at cheap rates. No pain coming. Sorry, not happening. Transactions down, but no great, foreclosure wave. Just not coming. Commercial, you as an operator, and I had some of these until I refied them into 30-year fixed, you have to go back to your bank every year for a statement, and then at the end of the term, which he said $1.4 trillion coming in by 2024. They're going to have to refi it. They're going to have to go back to the bank and say, will you give me another 5-year term? And right now, as Ken said, values are down. So let's just use some real numbers. Let's say you have $100 million something, industrial, office, retail, multifamily. You got a loan 5 years ago at 75% LTV. So you have a $75 million loan. The value is 100. And I'm just making these numbers up. You can do the math later. You run through 5 years. Maybe you think the value's gone up to 120. You go back to the bank and refi. You're hoping to get a cash out check. And that worked for 2 years. It's not going to work next year, because now instead of 100 million or 125, it's worth 80. Now the debt, again, we'll forget mortgage pay down, is 75. Mm-hmm. You as an operator have two bad options. Option one, cash in refi. Everybody's heard about cash out refis. Yeah. How would you like to do a cash in refi? And again, let's do the numbers. The debt is 75 million. The asset's worth 80 today. You can get a 70% loan, which let's 70% of 80. So what is that? 24 minus. So it's 56 million. Your debt 75. You can get a loan for 56. You need to do a $19 million cash in refi.
Ouch.
Who can write that check?
Yeah.
That is one bad option. Option two, you can't get a loan because you don't have $19 million laying around. You sell the property. You lose money because you bought it for 100. Now you're going to sell it. So it's going to be bad. There's plenty of pain coming. And the other thing to point out, unlike the residential space, and that's why I'm disappointed that Ken wasn't warning people a year ago, is most of the pain will be on the equity. So in this example, you bought it for 100, you got a loan of 75. That means you raised $25 million from limited partners. They're the equity. Now you're going to sell it at 80. The limited partners in this very simple example lost $20 million. The bank didn't lose anything.
Mm-hmm.
LPs did. That's why I'm disappointed with Ken. He didn't warn earlier. There are people that got into deals because Ken wasn't warning people that have already lost their money. But hey, he's here now. He's been very open about syndications going bad. I applaud him for being here now. I just wish he was there a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the other thing that people would probably ask in the scenario that you just gave, not only they're going to have to cash in refi, but their payment's probably going to go up because the interest rates are way worse than they were a few years ago. Is that correct?
Well, they may go up. I mean, again, if your interest rate goes up 300 basis points, but you just paid the loan down 20 million,
okay.
Maybe I think the payment will be roughly about the same, maybe a little bit higher. But it's that cash in refi that most people don't have. You've got $19 million just kicking around somewhere. I mean, there are a few of us that have that, but not many.
Those are going to be some very awkward capital raising phone calls to your current LPs.
No, I mean, again, I already talked to some syndicators, and I actually had some conversation with some hedge funds last week. They're not raising's not happening. These will be forced sales.
Dang. Yikes. Yeah. Well, it's going to be bloody. Anyways, that was what we had from Ken McElroy. Again, I always encourage anybody who has a video they want us to react to, send it to me on Instagram in a DM or send it to Mike. Find some way to contact us because I'll get it queued up so we can talk about it. We got one more video. Mike, I'll see you there.
Thank you, buddy.